Welcome to the Natural Super Kids podcast, where you will discover practical strategies to inspire you to boost the health and nutrition of your kids. I'm Jessica Donovan, a qualified naturopath specialising in kids' health, and I want to make it as easy as possible for you to raise healthy and happy kids. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Natural Super Kids podcast. We're going to go off on a bit of a different tangent today on the podcast. This wasn't really planned, but I don't know, there's something telling me to come in here and just have a bit of a chat. Really, I want to ask you as a parent how you are doing. Like truly, how are you doing? And just sitting with that question for a moment. You know, what's coming up for you? And this isn't something you have to share. But I know, we're well into 2022 now. We're past all of the busyness, craziness of the festive season. I think every year over the last couple of years, we're expecting something different to happen. And yes, things have changed, but the last couple of years have been really hard on our nervous systems. We've had a lot of stress, we've had a lot of things to juggle, to deal with, on top of, all of that we deal with on a day-to-day basis as mums. And so I just really wanted to kind of dedicate this podcast episode to you as a mum. Maybe there's some dads listening, but I do know that the vast majority of the audience here at Natural Super Kids are mums. But if you're a dad, this definitely relates to you as well. And we talk so much about how to care for our kids on this podcast in different ways and, all kinds of different subjects related to kids' health that, of course, we can, utilize for ourselves as well. And I know that that is a positive flow-on effect on the things that I share about kids' health and how that can also improve adults' health as well. But I really wanted to kind of check in with you, and I'd love for you to come on over and reach out to me. Probably Instagram's the best place to do this. Reach out, send me a private message on Instagram, or you can email jessica@naturalsuperkids.com and, let me know what you've taken from this episode. I'd love to know because I do hope that it's helpful. I just really wanted to have a conversation and to share some of the things that I've been doing to look after myself. And, in all transparency, my kids are that bit older than some of you that are listening. I have a 14-year-old and an almost 12-year-old. She will be 12 by the time this podcast goes live. So, in a lot of ways, parenting and being a mum does get easier, physically easier, but there's a lot more complexity to parenting teens. I think there's a lot more emotional support that is needed, which is, harder in some ways and easier in other ways. My kids definitely don't need help putting their shoes on or even getting dressed. I remember back to the days, it doesn't feel like that long ago, that my daughter, even when she was able to dress herself, would want me to help her get dressed in the morning. The mornings were a struggle, and this year's very different for us. Both of my kids are off on the school bus at 7:35. So I get this kind of longer day to get what I need to get done, and I am very aware that when you've got younger kids, it's so much harder to get any sort of breathing space for yourself. But I do also think that those are the years that it is really important to find time to fit things in that can fill up your own cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I know, we've all heard that before. But truly, if you're, if you're focusing on wanting to improve your kids' health and well-being for whatever reason, then looking after yourself as a mother is such an important part of that. Maybe even the most important part of that. So I did just want to chat about that. So I have definitely been, through times that stress has gotten on top of me multiple times. And I joke that if I wasn't a naturopath, I would be a heap on the floor, because I do rely on a lot of naturopathic strategies, medicines, foundational things that naturopathy is based on to look after myself, because I am a type A personality. I'm go, go, go. I've always got new ideas. I run my own business, which it's hard to switch off from that, although I've gotten so much better at that over the years. And so I need those tools and those strategies to kind of keep myself going. And they're some of the things that I really want to share with you, because, they're a continual work in progress for me. But I feel like I'm in a really good place at the moment. One reason for that is because my kids are a bit older and I have got that bit of space. But these are things that I utilized even when my kids were younger. So I wanted to share some of these things with you. The first one, so important, is sleep. Sleep. I love my sleep. My son actually said to me last night, "You and Dad go to bed really early compared to other parents." And we do go to bed fairly early. I'm talking about 9:30, 10 at the latest. Very rarely am I still awake at 11. And so sleep is super important, and that wind down time in the lead up to going to bed is really important as well, and can make such a difference to that quality of sleep. So one thing that we have never done is had phones in the bedroom. We're definitely guilty of watching TV up until bedtime some nights. But I'm a big reader, and I just love reading before bed, even if it's only, 15 minutes before my eyes are heavy. But having a good book makes such a difference for me. I actually look forward to going to bed, and I'm more likely to watch less TV. So sleep is a huge one. And of course, those of you with young kids are probably not getting enough sleep, getting interrupted sleep. For some of you, there's no control over that. But I also do know that lots of parents stay up too late because, and I remember specifically having this conversation, it broke my heart. This lady, client of mine, this was years ago, who had quite a few young children, maybe 4 young children, and she was definitely not getting enough sleep, nowhere near enough sleep. But what she said to me is, I avoid bedtime because I know, tomorrow I'm going to have to get up and do it all over again. And she was struggling with a really low mood and mental health and exhaustion. And one of the best, it's that catch-22, one of the best things you can do for your mood and your energy is get more sleep. But when you've got issues with imbalances in your mood and your energy, you tend to kind of not get enough sleep because you're staying up too late. So, and I hear from parents a lot as well that finally you've got some space and time to yourself, so you don't want to waste that going to sleep. You want to kind of do some things that you want to do, even if that is just vegging out in front of the TV. But sleep is, so important, underrated. I think overall women's mums' health could be so much better if we just got some extra sleep and didn't sit on our phones right until bedtime, because when we're on, when we're exposed to that blue light from our phones, that is not helping our melatonin production. So it's suppressing melatonin production, and melatonin is really important to get us to sleep and for us to have a healthy sleep. So sleeping is really important. I love taking magnesium to help with that deeper sleep. A combination of magnesium and taurine work really well. I take a product or a supplement, Metagenics Carmex. I don't take it all the time, but particularly if I'm going through periods where stress levels are up a bit or I'm not sleeping that well, I tend to wake up really early and not be able to get back to sleep if my stress levels are too high. And if that starts to happen, then I'll definitely start to take that combination of magnesium and taurine, which is great for nourishing the nervous system and promoting healthy sleep and relaxation. So sleep is huge, and that trying to avoid your phone, particularly in the lead up to bedtime, can make such a difference to that quality of sleep that you are getting. The next one I want to talk about is moving your body. And again, it's a catch-22 because when you're tired, you're exhausted, you might be feeling low in mood, the last thing you feel like doing is moving. But exercise is so important, not just so we can, stay in shape or lose some weight. I think those things are maybe positive side effects, but energy levels rely on our body moving. And it seems a bit counterintuitive. Like, surely me expending energy by doing some exercise is going to make my energy levels low. But no, that is not the case. Our mitochondria, which are the little energy producing machines within our cells, produce more energy when we exercise regularly. And not just for the time that we're exercising. You've felt that before when you start exercising regularly and you feel more energetic. Moving is a huge one. And I've recently, just in the last couple of weeks, signed up to an online fitness challenge. And it's been great. Like, I've always been fairly good at moving because it does make me feel good, and I sit at my computer a lot. So I've always been good at walking. I do yoga regularly, like a class, I go to a class of yoga a week, and I usually do a couple of other, yoga stretching 20-minute workouts a week as well, because I like the way that it makes me feel. And we've got a home gym, I get into there every now and again, but I was kind of stuck in a rut with my exercise. I was feeling like I want to ramp it up a bit. I wasn't kind of getting to that period where I was puffed or sweating. I was just kind of going with the motions. And so I signed up to 28 with Sam Wood, just on a whim. I saw an ad while I was looking for workouts on YouTube, and it's been really good for my motivation. So it's just these 28-minute workouts. I'm definitely feeling sore. My heart rate's getting higher. I'm getting sweaty, and I'm feeling good for it. I'm feeling stronger. So things like that. And I don't think it really matters what program you sign up for. But there's so many different fitness programs, online fitness programs. So there really isn't an excuse not to move. You still need that, that intrinsic motivation to do the workout, to press play, to do it to the end. And that's the other thing. When I'm following a workout, I go for that bit longer and I go that bit harder. So I'd highly recommend, if you're feeling a bit stuck in a rut with your exercise, or you're not doing any exercise, first of all, just start by walking. I think walking is brilliant. Walking is so good for my mental health. I'm really lucky to live right near a big scrub national conservation park and right near the beach. So walking in nature is my go-to. I couldn't live without it. When we were in isolation with COVID, that's the thing. I thought, if I could just walk, I could actually, this wouldn't bother me too much. But yeah, just walking can make a huge difference to your mood and your energy levels. But if you're feeling like you'd like to ramp up the exercise a bit, then, join an online fitness program where you can do the workout when it suits you, so you don't have to kind of stick to a timetable of a class, and it just gives you that extra motivation. I'm also loving yoga. So I'm doing yoga with my same yoga teacher Kristen Nelson, and I love, love, love her, but she's changed her business. So she's now doing much smaller groups. And it's in just this beautiful location in the scrub. And it's really, it's really a spiritual kind of exercise as well. She's, we're delving into the meaning of yoga, and every class she has something for us to focus on. So for example, this week we were, we were just being, witnessing our thoughts rather than getting caught up in our thoughts. And so the whole kind of process, or I don't even know what the right word is, experience of yoga, if you've got a good yoga teacher, it's not just about sort of, doing the poses, but it's this real spiritual connection with yourself. And I really value that one class that I go to. It's on a Wednesday morning. It's just that hour and 15 minutes to myself, and it really allows me to tune in. So finding a great yoga teacher can be really amazing, and I feel super lucky to have Kristen in my life. So that is another practice that I have been, it's just second nature to me, and I really look forward to that weekly yoga class. And of course, eating well. Eating well is huge, and it's something that is harder and harder with all of the convenience of packaged processed food, the busyness of our lives. But, eating predominantly whole foods. And again, as I've had this flow-on effect of, joining this fitness challenge, which also has, a meal recommendations with it, which I haven't really been following, but just doing that regular workout has just made me eat that bit healthier. I was getting into a bit of a rut of having, a wrap for lunch every day, and I'm just making a lot more salads with lots of diversity in terms of the different foods that I'm putting in there. It's as simple as making sure that you grab that avocado and goat's feta cheese to make your salads much more interesting. If you've just got the lettuce, tomato, cucumber in the pantry, it's not really that inspiring to create a salad. But I've been putting, a beautiful goat's feta, avocado, whatever protein we might have had left from the night before. Sometimes no meat, but, I might put a bit of chicken or something in there, some sauerkraut. So lots of flavor in the salads. And then I buy this herb mix from my local market, Wollonga Farmers Market, which has different greens and herbs in it, which is really flavorful as well. And having that diversity, lots of different foods within your diet, really helps to improve your gut health and that microbiome diversity. So, it's having that flow-on effect. And that's what these healthy habits do, right? They have that flow-on effect. When we're exercising regularly, we're probably not going to reach for, the crappy food as often because we're feeling healthier and more energetic. It's making that sort of perpetuating negative cycle turn around to be a perpetuating positive cycle. That's my experience anyway. I'll do a workout and I'll have a smoothie for breakfast rather than some, toast with coffee or something like that. So I find these things all really work hand in hand. When we're getting enough sleep, we're going to make better food choices. When we're making better food choices, we're going to sleep better. So they all link and have those positive flow-on effects with each other. Keeping hydrated, really important as well. So drinking plenty of water, having my water bottle on my desk is a huge thing as well that makes a big difference. So when I'm starting to feel a bit tired, when I'm sitting at my desk, almost always if I have a glass of water, I feel better. So keeping hydrated, making sure I start the day with a glass of water. Every coffee that I have, which is never any more than 2, I have a big glass of water afterwards, and making my water more interesting, putting some lime juice or some fresh mint or something in there, having some sparkling water in the afternoon is a nice kind of, treat and makes water a bit more interesting. So staying hydrated is a really big one. And if you've got little kids, what I used to do when I had little kids at home, every time I gave them a glass of water or a cup of water, I would make sure I had a glass of water, because it's so important to keep hydrated. And it's so easy to forget to stay hydrated. And in the winter, I drink a lot of herbal tea because I'm not really that excited about just drinking water. So I will just have a big mug of herbal tea on my desk that I just keep refilling with things like lemon and ginger tea or peppermint tea or whatever it is that I've got going at the time. So staying hydrated is a huge one and makes a big difference. And working less, having more rest, being comfortable doing nothing or resting. Now, this is, again, still a work in progress for me. As I said, having my own business and a business that I love, it doesn't feel like work. I can fall into the trap of working too much and using work as a bit of an escape. When I'm working at home, getting vulnerable here, I've had enough of the kids, had enough of my husband. I've just got some work to do. That would be my kind of go-to. And I can always find stuff to do. But working less and allowing myself just to sit on the couch and read a book, or to go for another walk, or to catch up with a friend, or to call a friend and have a conversation, or to go for a swim. That's something I've been doing way more this summer. Very lucky to live very close to the beach. And so, I've just been making that effort to go down to the beach. I've been doing this quite a bit with my daughter, and we'll go down and have a swim and have a bit of a play, either before dinner or after dinner. It's easy to say, I can't be bothered putting the bathers on, getting the towels, putting the sunscreen on, but you never regret going for a swim. Well, I don't anyway. Love the ocean, that the sunshine, the healing vibes from the ocean. It's just so good for you. And I've been spending a lot more time in the water as well. I get cold quite easily, but just kind of putting up with that and moving in the water. So, playing with a ball or going for a bit of a swim or, wrestling with the kids. My 14-year-old loves to do that, although he's getting a bit too strong now. He's really annoying to go for a swim with. He loves splashing, dunking, wrestling. But trying to get into, he needs that kind of active outlet. And so trying to get into that with him, which I don't necessarily love, but it's a good workout. I feel like the other day we were playing with the ball and there was just a tennis ball and he wanted to throw it and then race to it. He bet me every time, but I was absolutely exhausted by the end of it. Doing that 10 times, we always can come up with these excuses of why we can't fit in exercise. But if we just play with our kids, no matter what age they are, even if it's just running around with a 2-year-old in the backyard, in the back garden or at the park, it's still moving our bodies, and our kids love it. They love it when we get involved with active stuff with them. So I think that, if we can be more active with our kids, it builds that connection with our kids, but it also gets us moving. I've talked about this before. My little bugbear of, I talk to parents all the time that say, I don't have time to exercise, but then you'll see them on their phone while their kids are doing swimming lessons, whereas they could be getting into their bathers and doing some laps. Or you go to those big kind of bounce trampoline places, Latitude or Bounce or whatever, and you see all the mums and dads sitting around the side. It's like, get on there and do that with the kids. Even though us mums might not be able to jump without, pelvic floor issues, there's things that we can do to get involved with the kids. So, the kids love it, and then we get that extra movement as well. So these are the things that are really are foundational for me for managing stress and looking after myself. There's other things that I do. I do take supplements regularly to support the stress response. I mentioned magnesium before. I take B vitamins as well. I take adrenal herbs from time to time. I take, herbs that support nervous system function and sleep from time to time. So, these naturopathic tools that we have can really help with mum's health. And if you're feeling like you need some support, then we offer, support for mums as well as kids at Natural Super Kids. And Sarah, our beautiful consulting naturopath, is just the most lovely, empathetic, gentle naturopath that is not going to make you, make all of the really hard changes, the changes that are hard to make when we're feeling depleted and tired and, anxious and over it. We don't necessarily want to cut out all the things that we like and implement, things in our lifestyle that can be really hard. So she is really good at taking that step-by-step approach, but focusing on those things that are really going to make a difference. So if you're feeling like you need support, then that is, that is available to you. You can check that out on our book an appointment page, and I'll make sure I link that in the show notes. But the idea of this episode really was just about me sharing some of the things that I do that can really help you. And I'd love for you to reach out over on Instagram, Natural Super Kids, and let me know what you found helpful or an insight you might have had through this episode, or just reach out and say hi. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'd also love to know if you'd like more episodes like this. And I will be back next week with another podcast episode. So I hope you tune in then. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Head on over to our website, naturalsuperkids.com, for the show notes for this episode, as well as a whole heap of inspiration to help you raise healthy and happy kids. I'll see you next week.